There's a hospital in Harare that carries a very special name. You might know it as Harare Hospital, but since 2018, it has officially been called the Sally Mugabe Central Hospital. And if you stop to ask the people of Zimbabwe why it was renamed, many of them will pause, smile, and say something like, "Because she deserved it." This is the story of Sarah Francesca Hayfron, a woman born thousands of miles away on the coast of West Africa, who crossed oceans, survived prison, endured exile, buried a child, and still managed to become one of the most beloved figures in Zimbabwean history. This is the story of Sally Mugabe, mother, activist, first lady, and, to many, simply Amai, the mother of the nation. Our story begins on the 6th of June, 1931, in a place that was then called the Gold Coast, the land we now know as Ghana. It was a British colony, vibrant and restless, where nationalist ideas were beginning to take root and grow. It was here, into this world of change and possibility, that Sarah Francesca Hayfron was born, and she wasn't alone. Sally came into the world alongside her twin sister, Esther, two little girls born into a remarkable family. Sally's family wasn't just any family. Her maternal grandfather was Peter Awuno Renner, a Sierra Leone Creole lawyer and the very first leader of the Gold Coast Bar. Politics, justice, and public service were woven into Sally's DNA from the very beginning. She grew up attending Achimota School, one of the most prestigious schools in West Africa, and went on to university before qualifying as a teacher. She was sharp, determined, and ready to take on the world. And it was at the Takoradi Teacher Training College where fate stepped in. Because it was there, among classrooms and chalk dust and the hum of learning, that Sally Hayfron met a young man named Robert Gabriel Mugabe. He was a teacher too, ambitious, passionate, and clearly quite taken with her. Their romance blossomed in the Gold Coast, and when Robert decided to return to southern Rhodesia to pursue his political dreams, Sally went with him. On a spring day in April 1961, in the city of Salisbury, what we now call Harare, they were married. A new chapter had begun. Now, you might think that moving to southern Rhodesia in the early 1960s as an African woman, educated, outspoken, and married to a political firebrand might have encouraged Sally to keep a low profile. But that simply wasn't Sally's style. Within just 1 year of her marriage, she was already making waves. In 1962, Sally was actively mobilizing African women to challenge the Southern Rhodesian Constitution. She wasn't watching from the sidelines. She was right there at the front, organizing, speaking, and refusing to be silent. The colonial authorities took notice. She was charged with sedition, a serious charge, and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. Part of the sentence was suspended, but make no mistake, this was a woman willing to pay a heavy price for what she believed in. She was barely in her 30s, and she was already a force to be reckoned with. By 1967, with her husband Robert imprisoned by the Rhodesian authorities, a detention that would last a full 10 years, Sally made the painful but necessary decision to go into exile in London. She was alone in a foreign city, separated from the man she loved in a country that was not her own. But Sally Mugabe was not someone who sat still and felt sorry for herself. In London, she threw herself into work and activism. She took on jobs as a secretary, including working for Margaret Feeney, the very first director of the Africa Centre in Covent Garden, and as a race relations clerk with the Runnymede Trust. She settled in Ealing in West London, building a life brick by brick. And all the while, she campaigned, she agitated, she knocked on doors and wrote letters and raised her voice, demanding the release of political detainees in Rhodesia. Her husband's name was always near the top of that list, but exile brought with it unbearable grief. In 1963, while Robert was still in detention, Sally had given birth to their only son, a little boy named Namodzenika. He was their joy, their hope, their future. But in 1966, when Namodzenika was just 3 years old, he was struck down by a severe attack of malaria, and he died in Ghana. At that time, Robert Mugabe was still locked away in a Rhodesian prison, and he was not allowed to attend his son's burial. How does a mother carry that? How do you grieve a child across an ocean while your husband cannot even say goodbye? Sally Mugabe bore that grief with a dignity that few could imagine. She kept going and going. In 1970, tragedy struck again when her father passed away. That same year, the British Home Office attempted to deport her. Her visa had expired, but Sally fought back. Robert, still in prison, petitioned British Prime Minister Harold Wilson and the Foreign and Commonwealth Office on her behalf. It worked. 2 British government ministers stepped forward in her corner, Labour MP Maurice Foley and the Conservative peer Lord Lothian. Sally was granted British residency. Even from behind bars, Robert and Sally were a team. In 1975, Robert Mugabe was finally released from prison after more than a decade of incarceration. He and his close friend Edgar Takere departed quickly for Mozambique, the front lines of the liberation struggle for Zimbabwe, and Sally followed. In Maputo, the capital of Mozambique, Sally took on a new role, one that came naturally to a woman of her heart. She became a mother figure to the thousands of refugees who had been displaced by the Rhodesian Bush War. Young people far from home, families torn apart by conflict, children with no one to look after them. Sally was there, feeding, comforting, organizing, caring. Back in Zimbabwe, or Rhodesia as it was still called, her political star was rising. In 1978, she was elected ZANU-PF Deputy Secretary for the Women's League. She wasn't just Robert Mugabe's wife, she was a leader in her own right. April 18th, 1980, Independence Day. Zimbabwe was born, and Robert Gabriel Mugabe became the country's first black prime minister. Sally stood beside him, not as a shadow, but as a partner. The transition to First Lady required Sally to move quickly into a new, very public national role, and she embraced it, but always on her own terms. She didn't use her position for glamour or personal gain. She used it to help people. Sally Mugabe founded the Zimbabwe Child Survival Movement, dedicating herself to the well-being of the country's youngest and most vulnerable citizens. She supported war veterans. She ran charity programs for orphans and those living in poverty. She launched the Zimbabwe Women's Cooperative in the UK in 1986 and championed Akina Mama wa Africa, a London-based organization focused on development and women's issues across Africa and the United Kingdom. In 1987, when Robert became Zimbabwe's second president, Sally officially became First Lady, and 2 years later, at the Party Congress of 1989, she was elected Secretary General of the ZANU-PF Women's League. But for the ordinary people of Zimbabwe, her titles mattered less than who she was. They called her Amai, Mother. People who knew her or simply watched her from afar would describe her the same way: humble, kind, disciplined, and genuinely present. Many believe that Sally acted as a moderating force on her husband's leadership, that her warmth and moral compass helped keep things balanced. She was seen as kind, humble, and disciplined, people would say, very different from the political elites that would follow. But even as Sally was beloved across the country, a painful chapter was unfolding behind closed doors. In the late 1980s, while Sally was still alive and still serving as First Lady, Robert Mugabe began a relationship with a young woman named Grace Marufu, who worked as a secretary in the president's office. The news shocked many people. Mugabe had built his public image on strict moral standards. And yet, Grace became pregnant in 1988, while Sally was seriously ill. Political insiders were uncomfortable, but no one challenged Mugabe publicly. Power, as it often does, created silence. Sally was suffering from severe kidney failure by the early 1990s. Some who were close to the situation have speculated over the years about the emotional toll the affair may have taken on her. However, it's important to say clearly there has never been any proof of foul play. Officially, Sally Mugabe died of kidney disease. Mugabe himself, years later, attempted to justify his choices, saying that even as Sally went through her final days, he felt pressure to father children for his mother's sake. Ambuya Bona. Robert Mugabe's justification that many found hollow and hurtful. Whatever the private pain Sally endured in those final years, she carried it with the same quiet dignity she had carried everything else. On the 27th of January, 1992, Sally Mugabe passed away. She was 60 years old. The entire nation mourned. She was laid to rest at the National Heroes Acre in Harare, Zimbabwe's most sacred burial ground, reserved for those who gave the most to their country. And rightfully, it was exactly where she belonged. In 2002, to mark the 10-year anniversary of her passing, Zimbabwe honored her memory with a special set of 5 postage stamps, each one bearing her face. It was a small but meaningful gesture from a country that had not forgotten. And the country has not forgotten. Even today, her memory lives on in the hearts of older Zimbabweans, who still speak of her with a reverence that is rare in politics. After Sally's death, Robert Mugabe married Grace Marufu in 1996. And in the years that followed, Zimbabwe's political landscape shifted in ways that many historians have directly linked to Grace's rise. Grace Mugabe built a powerful network inside ZANU-PF. She became leader of the ZANU-PF Women's League and eventually positioned herself as a potential political successor to her husband. Her growing influence created deep factional battles inside the ruling party, tensions that would eventually contribute to the dramatic events of 2017. Many Zimbabweans still compare the two first ladies, not out of cruelty, but out of a genuine sense of loss. Sally is remembered as humble, focused on charity, and respected across the country. Grace became a more divisive, flamboyant political figure. It's a comparison that speaks volumes, not just about two women, but about the soul of a nation and what it values. Older Zimbabweans still say it quietly, with a sigh. If Sally had lived longer, Zimbabwe's politics might have been very different. And then there is that hospital. In 2018, the building that most people had always called Harare Hospital was officially renamed. The new name, Sally Mugabe Central Hospital. It was a recognition, long overdue, many would say, of a woman who spent her life fighting for the well-being of ordinary Zimbabweans, who ran charity programs, who founded the Zimbabwe Child Survival Movement, who called a refugee camp in Mozambique home because she wanted to be where the people were. Every day, thousands of people pass through those doors seeking healing. And every day, Sally Mugabe's name greets them, not on a monument in a park, not on a stamp, but on a living, breathing, working hospital, a place where people are helped. It feels right. It feels like her.